Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video I'm going to be doing a get ready with me chit chat, little story time about my first labor and delivery and what's going on in my current pregnancy. So if you want to hear more, keep on watching. So to start off, I'm going to do my foundation. I've been using the Juvia's Place foundation and I've been using Capri 630. I really like this and it's pretty cheap. It's only $20. I still really love my Hourglass foundation, but this is $50. But the Juvia's Place, I've used it before. I used it at my wedding, and fun fact, I left it there at my venue, so I literally only used it for like a couple of days, but I really liked it then, so I wanted to give it another try. So I've been using it lately, and a little bit goes a long way with this. I just do like a little bit on my sponge, and then if I need to go back in and like cover up some problem areas, I'll just go back over them. Next, I'm going to do my concealer, and I've still been using the Tarte Shape Tape. I'm almost out, so I'm just trying to use the rest of it. Sometimes I go in with the smaller brush inside so I could get all the excess product around the sides, because otherwise you're leaving a lot of product in there. And if you just depend on like this brush to pick it up, this kind of can't go around the sides and pick everything up. So I just kind of use it to like smooth it out. And I'm just going to do kind of like a quick, well, sort of quick beat. That's what I wanted to do. So a little pregnancy update. I am 29 weeks. So here's how I look at 29 weeks as of today. I feel very, very pregnant. And so I only have 11 more weeks to go. I can't believe it. The time has flown by like so fast. It kind of sucks with everything that's going on with the pandemic, because before I was a part of this, basically like my appointments were with a group of other women that were due the same time as me. And I really liked it. I loved having my appointments like that. Just because we could share our different experiences, different things that work for us with like things like heartburn or just like ligament stretching pains or different things. And now I can't see them because everything's been canceled basically, and now like you only come in for appointments if you like absolutely need to be there. So that kind of sucks because I don't know if I'll see that group of women again, and we're all due around the same time. So I was kind of excited to just, you know, keep going along that journey with them. So that's a bummer that that's happening. The other thing about my pregnancy is I haven't had my baby shower, so I kind of need to figure that out, what's going to happen with that. It's supposed to happen in May, but it could happen in June just because of everything that's going on. So there's that. The other thing with this pregnancy is it's been pretty tough on my body. I don't think my last pregnancy was this tough. I feel like I definitely didn't feel it like in my ligaments or anything like that at all my last pregnancy, but I know I'm only gonna feel it the more I get pregnant. Basically, is what my midwife told me. Like, the more times I get pregnant, the more it's gonna be intense. But we'll see. Hopefully, it'll be better my next pregnancies, or I don't know. I'll just get through it. But it's definitely been tougher this pregnancy. I feel uncomfortable like all the time. I literally cannot find a comfortable place to sleep. Like, my back will hurt, so I have like 3 pillows I sleep with. And my last pregnancy, I really loved my pregnancy pillow and I slept with that all the time. And this pregnancy, I'm not like so into my pregnancy pillow. It like hurts my neck, and I think because my last pregnancy I used it very early on in the pregnancy, so I got used to it. This time around we had it stored, and my husband had bought a case, like a pillowcase for it, and it took us a while to get it because we couldn't find it, and then it's just a bunch of stuff. But basically it took us a while to get the pregnancy pillow, and so by the time I started using it, I feel like I was further along, and it was very uncomfortable by then. But I don't remember being this uncomfortable with Ruben, my first pregnancy. I definitely think I was more, like, I could just easily be kind of comfortable anywhere. Now I kind of can't, I can't even get comfortable on the couch. I'm really only comfortable on my bed, and that's not even that comfortable. So it's been a struggle sleeping. I do take sleeping pills that help with my nausea that my midwife had prescribed to me, and that helps. But even then, I feel like I go to sleep really late, and it's just really tough. Other than that, I'm happy that I am healthy, and the baby's healthy, and Ruben's healthy, and my husband's healthy, and we haven't been out, and I haven't seen my family for like 6 weeks now, so that's been really tough because like I really miss them, and you know, it's been really tough, I'm sure, for everyone, but I'm just happy that all of us are healthy during this time, and I know it can wait to see each other, and we're just hoping that this can pass before my birth so that my husband and my mom can both be in the labor room.
Hey, VA.
Anyways, I'm super emotional this pregnancy, so it's tough for me. It's just been very emotional, first of all being pregnant, and then with everything going on, and then you can't see family, and it's just been really tough, but we're just trying to get through it. And like I said, I hope my mom can be there with us, because right now the hospitals are only allowing one person to be there with you, which is still great, obviously, but it was nice having my mom and my husband there for my first delivery because they really helped me through it. So let's just jump into that. So my son was due on January 17th, and I went into labor on the 13th, and basically I was feeling contractions. I don't even know what time it was. Maybe it was like 4 in the morning or something like that. I just couldn't sleep basically, and I was timing them, and I had an app for it because one of my sorority sisters, she really helped me out with that she said that when she was going into labor, she had an app that like gave her like it let her time her contractions, and so that was really nice to be able to use that. And they were coming consistently, and I basically woke my husband up, and I was like, we need to go to the hospital. So I took a shower, and we woke up my line sister. She lived with us at the time, and we told her we were going to the hospital because I think I was in labor, and she ended up coming with us, and we all went to the hospital, and they checked how dilated I was. This is probably, I was up already probably like for 4 hours or so by the time we got to the hospital, and they asked me, or they were checking how dilated I was, and if you've ever had them check that, like if you're a mom, you know that shit hurts, or if it doesn't hurt you, I don't know, because it felt like they were literally reaching in and touching my soul. It hurts. And they had checked how dilated I was, and I was only, she said I was 1 centimeter dilated, and so that's not a lot. And so they said, why don't you, because I actually towards the end of my pregnancy started getting high blood pressure towards the end. It wasn't preeclampsia, I got tested for it, but basically the only way to alleviate that is for me to give birth. They wanted me to stay there regardless, just to monitor that more. So they told us to go walk around, maybe get something to eat. So we went to Subway inside the hospital, and we were walking around, and I was getting, like, I got some pretty hard contractions. It felt like really hard contractions. And we went back in an hour because we were just walking around the hospital the whole time. And I had my Fitbit on at the time, so I was getting my steps in. And we went back, and she said that I was 3 centimeters dilated. So they were like, okay, so we can admit you. So they sent me up to where I was going to be delivering. So I was really excited for that. And I ended up calling my mom, and she came, and then she brought my dad, and I really just wanted my mom and my husband in there, but it was so early on I didn't see like an issue with my dad being there, and my line sister Miriam was there, and so it wasn't like a big issue that people were there. But then my mom called my sisters and my grandma, and it kind of got out of hand, I would say. So definitely this pregnancy, I'm just having my husband and my mom if it's allowed, if not just my husband, obviously. So basically we went up to the room, and I was walking around, trying to, you know, get the labor going. And for my eyes, I'm going to use a Daisy Marquez palette, and I think I'm just going to do like a soft glam kind of quick look. We'll see. But we went up to the room, and everybody was there inside the room. It was a little chaotic, and actually there was like a marathon of Twilight going on during my labor, and they came in and they were going to check me again, but right then my water had broke. And I don't know why, but I never knew that once your water breaks, it just keeps coming out. And I never knew that. I thought it was just like one gush and that's it. And I was like, well, my water broke, I think. I mean, unless I'm peeing on myself, but you can feel it. It's like a big pressure. And they were like, yep, your water broke, because they tested it with, I don't know, something. They tested to see if it was my water that broke, and yes, the liquid was my water breaking. So that was a good sign, and they didn't want to check me yet. Again, because you're more at risk of getting an infection after your water breaks, and they keep checking you to see how dilated you were. I say I'd been there at the hospital for like 3 hours, maybe 4 hours, and it wasn't very stressful because I couldn't really feel contractions as bad because I was walking constantly. I actually hit my 10,000 steps while I was there. I don't know how much steps I hit, but I hit a lot because I was just constantly walking the whole time. And one of the nurses came in and was like, okay, we want to check how dilated you are because you're a little too happy right now. Like, you're too much in a good mood, which I didn't understand, because I'm like, well, isn't this a good thing? And then later on I realized what she meant. Honestly, I don't know what happened, but I wasn't dilating, and they were like, okay, well, let's just like give it more time. And then I remember I felt my contractions were getting stronger. So I ended up getting in the tub, and then I was like, they should check me because I feel like it's a lot of pressure. Like, this feels like it's really, really bad contractions. So they came in and checked me. They tried to check me in the tub. They couldn't feel how much dilated I was. So it was fucking painful in the tub. So I moved to the bed, and they're like, you're not 3 centimeters dilated, you're still 1 centimeter dilated, and I don't even think your water broke. So I broke down at that point. I was hysterical because I'm like, what do you mean? Like, have I just been fucking peeing on myself? Like, I'm so confused. Like, I didn't understand what was going on. So at that point they were like, this is already late in the day, and we kind of at this point had already kicked everybody out of our room because we just needed it to be kind of a peaceful environment. So it was just my husband, me, and my mom. And my mom was there, and they were telling me like different options I could do. They wanted me to take this pill that could basically get things going more and have the labor kind of speed up and get me more dilated. But I was really nervous about that, about kind of taking anything, and I didn't really want to do it. And then they talked about Pitocin, and they were talking about getting me on to do an epidural. And my plan from the beginning was to be natural. I did not want to get an epidural, but my contractions were getting more intense. And so by this time, first of all, I don't know, whoever checked me, I think they were definitely wrong, because then they checked me again, like I would say an hour later, and they were like, okay, yeah, you're more dilated. by this time my mom had left and we were thinking of doing the pill idea, and I was gonna get morphine because I was trying to hold off on the contractions. And they were like, you're already, I think I was 4 centimeters by then, so I don't know what happened there, but it just stressed me out basically. And so I ended up being about 4 centimeters, I think, dilated, and I decided to do the morphine. I didn't want to do the pill thing yet. And when I did morphine, girl, when I tell you when I did morphine, that's my first time ever having morphine, and I felt so drugged. Like, I felt so drugged on the morphine. It was crazy, and I didn't like the feeling at all. And the pain went away like a little bit, because at this time I was laying in the bed, because I think I had already gotten through like 2 nurses, and I was on my 3rd nurse by this time, because I've already been in pre-labor. Pre-labor is less than 3 centimeters. I'd already been in pre-labor for 24 hours, and it was a lot. I hadn't slept or anything, so I needed to sleep to have my energy to be able to push and everything. And I had the morphine, and I was able to sleep for literally 30 minutes, and then the morphine was done and I could feel everything. So by that time, they needed to, the monitors I had in my stomach weren't placed well enough, and they couldn't really tell what the baby's heart rate was, so they told me that they were going to need to do internal monitors, so basically like stick monitors onto the baby inside of me. And they're like, it already hurts when we check you. We think you should probably do the epidural, because this isn't going to be pleasant. I'm going to have to stay on the bed, and I'm going to have to get monitors inside of me. And by this time I had this other nurse who, she had been a nurse for years, but I don't know, she gave me really bad vibes, and I did not like her. She was very condescending. I did not feel like I was in control of my own labor. I felt like she was trying to take control, and I did not want to feel like that at all. And I feel like all the nurses that came in before her were not like that, and I felt like they were listening to me and listening to what I wanted, and she did not feel that way. She wanted me to lay down, and I had felt better walking, just different things like that. I ended up talking to my midwife and told her, like, I can't do this, like, because that nurse was going to be there, I think, for another 6 hours, because I can't, or 4 hours, I can't remember. I think they were 6-hour shifts or 8-hour shifts, but she was going to be there for a long time basically. And I was like, yeah, there's no way I'm sticking with this lady, because she just wasn't listening to me and I wasn't having it. And she actually wasn't listening to my midwife either, which was very frustrating, because my midwife was trying to listen to me what I wanted, and she's like, no, we're doing this. So that was very frustrating. So I ended up being able to talk to the head nurse and tell them, like, she was just, you know, disrespectful, and I didn't feel like I was being listened to, and we just didn't mesh well. And they ended up giving me a new nurse, and she was perfect. Everything was fine. So I need to do a quick break for my eyebrows. They're all done. So I decided to do the epidural just because I still needed my energy to be able to push and do all of that. And I had already been up for 24 hours, and it was just, I was very tired, and my husband, he was very tired as well, and I felt so bad because he had been up with me the whole time, and we were the only two there, and we were just, you know, we were tired as fuck. And one thing I forgot to mention, when my mom was leaving, that nurse that I could not stand, I told my mom, I was like, well, come back by this time in the morning. She's like, honestly, I wouldn't even come back until tomorrow night. You may not even have this baby. Like, so negative, so rude. That is not the energy anyone needs when they're having a baby. Side note. So anyways, I decided to do the epidural, and girl, I was getting some contractions really bad when I was doing the epidural, and my husband was holding my hand, and you cannot move while they're doing the epidural. You need to stay still because they're putting something in your spine, and you have to sign a paper, and they have to tell you all the risks associated with it and everything. So I was reading everything like that. Loss of limbs, could be numb in your leg for like 3 days, like a bunch of crazy stuff that I was scared for, but I kind of needed it at this point. So I went through with the epidural, and I was able to sleep. They ended up waking me up though at, I would say, like a couple hours later. Honestly, I don't remember. I was so delusional by this point. They woke me up though, and they were saying that my contractions weren't really speeding up, and they were going to be doing some stuff with the Pitocin to try to speed them up more, and that I needed to lay with the peanut ball between my legs. So it's basically a giant yoga ball that's shaped like a peanut, and you sleep with it, or you put it between your legs. I was sleeping at the time because it was like, I don't know, I want to say like 3, 4 in the morning at this time, and this is already on the 14th. This is the next day, and they told me if I didn't start, they told me if I wasn't dilated to a certain amount at a certain time, that I was probably gonna have to have a C-section. So they said it is better to have the paperwork ahead of time signed, so that I'm not like signing it in the moment versus like signing it ahead of time. And obviously at that moment I didn't want to have a C-section, but I was thinking like, you know, whatever's safest for the baby, like I just want my baby to be safe and healthy and everything like that. So I signed the papers, but it was really scary because again, you see all the risks associated with it. And one of the risks was they said it happens in less than 1% of women, but if something goes wrong, I could have to have a hysterectomy, which was devastating for me just because I want to have a lot of kids. So I was scared, and I kind of got a little worried, but my husband was still sleeping, and it was just me. They had just woke me up at that moment, and I didn't really want to worry him, but I was freaking out a little bit. But I ended up going back to sleep because, girl, I was like hella tired at this moment and exhausted also from just like the whole day, a bunch of people, everything. And so they ended up checking me, and I think I was 7 centimeters dilated. So my parents got there the next day around 9 or 10 a.m. and I was just getting them up to date about everything that was going on, and I kind of freaked out with my mom a little bit because I was just freaking out if I had to get a C-section if anything went wrong, and she was just trying to reassure me and everything. So I wasn't feeling the contractions. I wasn't feeling anything, and then I started getting a sharp pain in half of my body. So I pressed the button, and I told them, and they said, okay, press the button to get basically like more drugs from the epidural. And so I did that, and they were like, wait 10 minutes, if it still hurts, press it again, and if it still hurts after 10 minutes, call us. So I did everything. It still hurt. Horrible pain, and I was freaking out, and I had a fever because I actually ended up getting an infection because they had to keep checking me. So I had my mom with her pop on my head because I had a fever, and then my husband on the back of me rubbing my back, and then they would switch and my mom would be rubbing my back, and they were like, you know, going to town because I was in so much pain. Because the nurses ended up realizing, because I was basically laying on my left side all night because my son's heart rate was going up when I would go on my right side, so I was staying on my left side for so long that gravity pulled the epidural down to one side of my body. I could feel full on contractions. At this point I was either 8 or 9 centimeters dilated, and they needed me to be more dilated to give birth. Obviously I need to be 10 centimeters, and one of the nurses had came in and played with the Pitocin a little bit more, because basically if I didn't go into labor within the next hour, I was going to have to get an emergency C-section. And so I was praying and I was crying. I was very emotional because obviously that was not something I wanted to happen. I wanted to be able to deliver vaginally. So I'm freaking out. I'm crying because I can feel full-on contractions, everything like that. And then I was like, there's a lot of pressure. They need to come check me. Like, I feel a lot of pressure because I could feel basically I got the epidural, but I could feel full on everything at that point, like everything, because one half of my body could feel it. And they came in, they checked me, and I was 10 centimeters, and they're like, you're 10 centimeters, it's time to push. And I just remember like being so relieved, and my mom was clapping and happy, and my dad, he was behind the curtain and he was happy too, and we were just so excited because that meant that I could have the chance to push and deliver vaginally, possibly, because you know, I've heard so many stories basically of women being like, I pushed for hours and I had to get a C-section anyway. So I didn't want to get my hopes up, and I didn't want to be too focused on anything, just because I know a lot of stuff happens during delivery and you can't plan it. Like, you really can't plan it. If your delivery goes exactly how you planned, God bless your soul, like, you are so lucky, because that is not the case with like 99% of women. Okay, one second, I'm gonna do my eyeliner. Basically, we were all cheering, we were excited, we were so happy. My dad was behind the curtain. He wasn't supposed to be there, but he came with my mom, so I was like, just come over here, like, get behind my mom, because it was my husband, my mom, and then my dad, and then the nurse on one side and the doctor, or my midwife over there, by the end of my legs. And side note, I was supposed to actually go to my birthing class that same day, but obviously I couldn't make it because I went into labor. I kept saying, I was supposed to go to my birthing class, like, how am I supposed to do this? I was supposed to go to my birthing class. And they were like, you'll be fine, don't worry about it, like, it'll be fine, like, we'll walk you through it. And I just kept thinking about that, and like, I was very nervous, but one thing I kept thinking about was like, this is a rite of passage. Like, my great grandma's done this, my grandma's done this, my mom's done this, I can do it. Like, all these strong women have done it before me, I can do this. My body was made to do this. So I'm pushing, everybody's telling me push, they can see the head. I'm pushing, and I pushed for 20 minutes, and he comes out, and we're so excited, and I was crying, and I was so happy. And I remember they told me that I could grab him, and I grabbed him as he was coming out, kind of like how on Keeping Up with the Kardashians, Kourtney grabbed her baby, but as he was coming out, I grabbed him, and it was just a really beautiful moment. We cried. I think my husband cried. I'm pretty sure my mom cried. I don't know if my dad cried, but I think he might have. It was really intense, and it was a beautiful moment, and I got to hold him right away. Everything was good. My husband cut his umbilical cord. He was healthy, and I hadn't been able to drink anything because I was drinking some water and I threw up. And so they're like, okay, you can only chew ice. So I was only chewing ice, and then I threw up again because I had morning sickness, and they were like, no, you can't do it. Like, if you're throwing up, you can't keep chewing ice. So my throat felt like the fucking Sahara Desert, bitch. It hurt so bad, and I was in so much, like, my throat was so dry. When I took that first drink of water, I tell you, like, it felt like the best thing on earth, basically. So I got to drink water. I started eating this burrito that my line sister had got for me. It was kind of old, but at that point I didn't care. I was starving because I hadn't eaten either, and this is already the afternoon by the time I gave birth. And yeah, it was a wild ride, very wild. So I'm nervous because I was in pre-labor for 24 hours and active labor for 8 hours. So it was a long time, and I could feel stuff still. It's not like I got the epidural and I was all good. I actually felt, when I was 10 centimeters dilated, the pain and everything of it. I would like to do this next pregnancy natural. I would love to be able to not have any epidural this pregnancy, but we'll see. Obviously I can't tell the future, and I don't want to have any too much of like high expectations for this delivery, just because I know like anything can happen during delivery, and I just, you know, I don't, what the fuck happened? Sorry for that interruption, but I'm praying for an easier delivery because I hear that your second comes a lot quicker than your first. Could go into labor basically any moment, but I'm hoping he waits until I'm closer to 40 weeks. So we'll see how everything goes, but pray for me that everything turns out great with this pregnancy and I can deliver vaginally again, and you know, everything goes as hopefully as planned, and my mom can be there during delivery with my husband, and it'll just be nice. This is my final look. I decided to go with these lashes, and I ended up doing on my lips Allison from Anastasia Beverly Hills with a little bit of the Kylie liquid lipstick in LA, because this would never ever be my color, just one color on my lips. I would look crazy with just this color, so I did this and then this in the center. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you liked my labor and delivery story time and hearing more about my pregnancy. If you have any questions at all, please be sure to comment below and make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And until then, I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys. You ready for this? See that? Keep on watching. Hopefully something works.